Alrighty, we are here with the Existential Bro. We have a very special episode for you today. My man, my brother, we got DJ Habibeats.
Yo.
I want to always call you DJ Habibeats.
It happens.
And I feel like I can't now because obviously you're in front of me, but behind your back, I call you Habibeats.
That's
just
okay.
So you know.
That's okay with me.
Okay, and your name is Ibrahim. Abey is like your nickname? What's the deal?
Yeah, full name is Ibrahim.
Ibrahim.
Everybody calls me Abey. So,
Abey.
My parents, my grandparents, my
friends.
friends.
I'll call you Abey. We'll go back and forth. My name is Juju. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Man, this episode is, wow, we're already on episode 23, season 3 of the Existential Bro.
Wow.
This one is spinning your dreams into reality.
Love the
Obviously, the DJ. I mean, you got to ask my boss. I have my ex-boss, I should call her now, my mentor, my friend, Grace Harupian in the audience. She was on the episode 21, Parenting Like a Boss. Her daughter, Nairi, was the one that actually came up with the saying,
and
the title.
Round of applause real quick.
Let's give a round of applause to Nairi.
Title.
Wow. Wow. I mean, her kids have more skills than her, so it's good to know that she's raising
more
them
skills
right.
than me, too. More skills than all of us.
She's raising them right. So anywho, I wanted to talk about today really you have a lot that you have to talk about as far as your background, how you ended up as a DJ, why you pursued law school, right? You passed the bar actually too.
I did.
Which I gotta be honest, before we got coffee, I was like, this guy probably went to law school, I'll be honest, didn't pass the bar and was like, okay, DJ's the next best thing.
Yeah.
That's the next thing I'm doing. And you just dived headfirst into being a DJ and became quite successful at it. But then you told me, you're like, no, I passed the bar. I'm like, wait, actually? Like this guy actually passed the bar? So you got to tell me about that, man. Like, why did you go to law school? How did you get into DJing? What like drove you to do DJing and music full time?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of parts to that story. The best way I can summarize it is like DJing was always my biggest passion since I was about 13. So I've been DJing since I was like 13. I'm 28 now, so something like 14-ish years. And I never thought that I could do it full time.
Sure.
My parents are immigrants, first generation kid. My whole life was like education.
Okay.
Go to school, get a real job.
I know that story. I know that the Middle Eastern dream.
Yeah,
the immigration.
Any immigrant family or a child of immigrants like knows how that goes, right? Like, but my parents were never like, you have to be a lawyer or a doctor. Like they weren't that strict, but they were like, I don't think they would have been necessarily super supportive if I was like, I want to be a DJ. so I was like, well, I don't want to be a doctor. That's like I couldn't do that. I don't really like math, so I don't want to be like an engineer or something. So I was like, I'm pretty good at talking. I feel like I'm good at like.
You have a good voice.
I've got a good voice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel like I'm good at breaking things down logically and arguing and stuff. And so I was like, I'll go to law school. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know. So
I can buy into that.
Yeah. So I was like, it seems like I could be okay at it. Like I could do it. So I went to law school. And then basically like halfway through law school, pandemic hit for me, right? And then, for everyone, but I mean, halfway through my law school journey, pandemic hit, and then everything was on Zoom, and I was in my bedroom doing Zoom law school. And my last semester of law school, I was just like super antsy, bored inside. Like I couldn't DJ anymore, right? In real life, I was just inside, so I needed some type of way to like creatively express myself. So I started uploading videos onto TikTok just of me doing DJ stuff. And it was like totally innocent, like just for fun. Like I didn't think anything of it. I remember posting on my Instagram being like, on my Instagram story being like, LOL, I made a TikTok. Like if you guys want to come check it out, like check out my shenanigans. Like, so I started posting and I think like maybe 8 or 9 videos in of me just posting kind of random DJ stuff like mashups and little mixes and things. I posted a video about an Ariana Grande sample, or it was rather a cover. So one of her songs, Good Night and Go, which I love, is a cover of an Imogen Heap song from 2005 by the same name. And I was like, oh, I bet these kids on TikTok probably don't know that one of their favorite Ariana Grande songs is like a cover of a song from before they were born, right? And I was wrong about the fact that like TikTok is just a bunch of kids. It's not. It's like everyone's on TikTok.
So I should get on there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just for you. I'm going to get on just so I can follow you and just keep up with all your new mixes.
You got to get on. But so I posted this video and it went pretty viral. I gained I think 10,000 followers in a night, and I was just like blown away. And so then I'm a nerd about music samples and music history and stuff. So I just started posting a ton of videos like that. I was posting 3 videos a day for a good 2 months, I'd say. And then it just my followership just skyrocketed. So by the time I graduated law school, so I started posting January 2021. Yeah. May 2021, I graduate law school, and I'm at 500,000 or 600,000 TikTok followers. And that's around the same time that the vaccine comes out. Everyone starts going outside. Everything starts reopening. And the time that I'm supposed to be studying for the bar.
Which, by the way, the bar is if people that are listening that don't know, it's a 7-day-a-week commitment. They say take a day off. No one actually does because you're just too anxious. You can't get sleep. You're working 10-hour days. Meanwhile, you're DJing. The life has finally opened up during the pandemic.
Yep.
Everything's open. You're out and about. You're killing it on the dance floor while others are actually studying.
Yep.
Full time, 8 a.m. in their bar prep courses, taking all these practice essay exams. You're like, oh, I'm going to get to the essays. I just got a couple more shows I need to do.
Yeah. So I was doing a bar prep a bar prep course. And you know how on the bar prep course, it'll tell you what percentage of the course that you've completed? I think by the time I actually took the bar, I think I was about 40% completion of the bar prep course. And
you're gonna make every law student that has ever had a dream to pass the bar think it's easy.
It's not
and they're
easy.
like, wait, the answer was to be a DJ, start bar prep, start playing music, and then guess what? I'll pass. That's the answer.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it, but I was literally at maybe 40% completion, and literally that completion was not even a lot of the stuff I kind of breezed through. You know what I mean? I didn't really. I don't know.
You read through it. You did that little bit mini highlights.
Yeah, there was sections where you were supposed to read a whole thing, and I was just So somehow I passed. And so, so again, right around the time that I passed, or I took it, and then there's 2-3 months that you wait until you get the actual decision, but. The thing for me is I had decided by that point, because I had so many opportunities kind of coming in DJ-wise, that before I even took the bar, I was like, okay, I'm going to pursue music full-time for at least 6 months to a year, just to give it a shot, because I've been blessed with this opportunity. I have a platform now. I'm going to go for it. So I think the pressure of I didn't have a job that was dependent on me passing the bar. That pressure was off of me, which I think was really helpful.
So they don't ask you before you get into a venue if you pass the bar?
They don't ask me, no. They actually point me to the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that, that pressure being off was really helpful, because I went into the bar being well, whatever happens, happens, which is not the mental state.
It's funny. I was thinking about what this episode was really going to be about today. Obviously, talking about you pursuing your dreams, DJing, but so much more than that. And what I really wanted to focus on today is this idea of happiness versus fulfillment. And you said it yourself, this pressure of having to succeed because, you have a job lined up, because you work so hard to get through law school. So now you're in a position that you have to succeed, and failure is not an option. But you said something, you're like, I just kind of took it for what it was. And that's kind of what life is. I was thinking about this metaphor to life. It's like you're a Roomba, and you're just this vacuum just going around in different directions, bumping into things. And as you're bumping into things, you're building a map for yourself. And building that map for yourself starts to give you some direction. I think you had built that map through law school. I mean, you had said, and I correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you said this, during our coffee, but you had said during your first year, you stopped DJing. You stopped doing what you loved because you felt like the societal pressure of having to succeed. The only way you could do that is by studying full time, is by putting 12 hours a day in school, because that's what everyone else was doing. That's what everyone else told you. And it wasn't until your second year where you started DJing again, where your grades got better? Tell me a little bit more about how following what you loved changed your perspective on law school, on success, and so forth.
Yeah. So I think my whole life up until law school, I was always doing both the things that I had to do or thought I had to do, and the things that I wanted to do in tandem, right? So all throughout college, I DJ'd, right? And my parents didn't love it. They were like, you're in college, we're paying a lot of money.
Where'd you go to school?
USF,
Okay.
University of San Francisco.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it's an expensive school. I still repaying student loans. But you know, all throughout college I DJ'd. After college I like managed my family's business for a couple years and was DJing throughout that. Was DJing while I was applying to law school. Like, you know what I mean? I always did it. And when I got to law school, I was like, okay, now it's time to like finally be really serious, stop the DJing, and like, you can't mess around anymore. This is law school. And for anyone who's never been to law school, there's like such a strong energy and stigma and feeling when you get to law school, especially being a 1L. There's such this overwhelming feeling of like, if you're not studying 24/7, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's the feeling.
Yeah. And people make you feel worse about it because they always talk about how much they're studying and
always.
And oh, did you read this case? Did you get this point? And you're like, dude, I barely made it through my homework. I just want to get some sleep.
So so there's this feeling in law school, like even if you are like, oh, you guys want to go to the bar after class, or you want, I don't know, you want to go get a coffee, or like what when you like ask people stuff, they're like, oh no, we're going to the library. Yeah. Like especially that first semester. Yeah. You know, because everyone's all they've heard about law school is how difficult it is and how much you have to like devote your whole life to it. The whole thing is like when you're like prepping for law school and you've got it accepted and you tell people, yeah, I got in. Yeah. Everyone goes, well, savor it while it lasts, like because once you get to law school, you're gonna have no life.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and that's the whole like consciousness around it and the whole like narrative around it, rather.
Yeah, of course. And then you speak to that narrative because when you get to law school, you start to tell yourself that's how you're supposed to act. Totally. Based on other societal pressures, based on other societal values of, oh, this is what it was for me, so this is actually how it's going to be for you. And they displace that same thing onto you. And then you feel guilty if you're doing anything that strays away from what society has told you is going to be.
It's like generational trauma through law school students. Like students after generations of students just traumatizing the next group.
That's why the bar is still in existence.
Literally.
They're like we were traumatized, so you need to be traumatized for the summer, and then you could be a part of the club.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So yeah, like I guess I just disagreed with that feeling. I hated that feeling of like, I don't like that I can't have a life, that I'm not supposed to be a human, like I'm supposed to be this robotic person that studies 24/7. I've never been like that. And I've always tried to have a decent work-life balance, you know, like social life, work life, school life, whatever. And after my first year, I was like, okay, I need to start DJing again because I was like miserable and I just didn't have a creative outlet. And so I started DJing again in my second year of law school, and my grades literally went up. And it's like funny because I remember inviting people out on weekends and they'd be like, we have to study, dude. Like, sorry, this is law school. And I'd be like, all right. Like, and I just went, you know, did my thing and my grades got better and I was way happier.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think about when I was going into law school, I had the same kind of, I think the reason why we kind of can get deep with each other is because I've had a very similar experience to you. Like even when I saw you on the DJ, I mean, I went to Habibe's house. It was fucking awesome. I was so glad to be there. And I just saw like I saw a lot of your energy, your humbleness, just like who you were as a person, just through your, you know, your music, your passion for what you were doing. And I think that goes so much further. At times we think that our passion needs to be derived from our work or where we are in society, what kind of stature we have, what other people define us as. But I think what's important is when you're defining your values on your intrinsic qualities, what matter to you, you no longer feel like other people have to give you that validation, or the values are now defined by what society thinks you're so supposed to be doing. You know, I started the Existential Bro prior to law school. And there was a moment, I remember my buddy Doc, who was on the Existential Bro season 1 and 2 with me when we were growing this podcast, he said, look, man, I'm going to be a resident doctor soon. And it's not that I don't love the podcast. It's just I'm not going to have the time. I'm not going to have the bandwidth to be able to come and do studio sessions with you anymore. I'm not going to have the ability. And look, he actually did tell me, he's like, look, as a doctor, a soon-to-be orthopedic surgeon, I don't know if I want to be associated with the podcast. It's just not who I am anymore. But that's because society has said, if you're in a certain career path, if you're in a certain profession, you need to be a certain way. And I think that holds true as far as your character, but it doesn't hold true for who you are as a person, as a human being. And I think I even lost a bit of myself when I went into the corporate world. Like a little bit about me, it's like I started law school doing everything right. And by right, I mean what other people told me to do. You get good grades during your first year. You apply for OCI, you do on-campus interviews, you work your ass off, you go to interview after interview till you get a big law job, a corporate firm that's going to pay you well, and you're going to pay off your debt that you just spent 3 years accruing.
Yeah.
And I did that. And I did exactly that. I did law review. I worked hard. I put my head down. I grinded it out, and I started in a corporate world where I didn't really feel like myself. Now, granted, I met good people through that experience. I met a really great, amazing mentor, a friend now, someone who I could actually like call when I need something. And look, she knows it. She's in the audience right now. But that wasn't all I was meant to be. And I felt like there was something amiss. I felt like there was this void that I did everything society had told me to do up to this point. I wasn't happy. I passed the bar, and I remember running the next day after getting my bar passage on going into my work week, my first week as a lawyer, crying on my run, thinking, why am I not happy? Why am I not fulfilled the way I was expecting to be fulfilled? And I realized I was defining my values. I was defining my happiness based on what other people told me is happiness, based on what other people told me is fulfillment. And to this day, I'm so happy I made a change in my life because now I'm doing something that's more on brand to what I represent, more on my experience with relationships and dealing with people in a really difficult time in their lives. And that's why I went into a more smaller boutique firm working in family law. You know, with my background as a tutor for 15, 16 years, this held true to me, working with kids and families during this dissolution of marriage. And I think that's something that, you know, I see in you, and I wanted to ask you, like, do you ever look back and go, I maybe should have worked. I maybe should have went into the legal field. I maybe should have given it a try. I mean, I know you had these internships through law school, but now that you're doing what you're doing, you're following your dreams, you're following your heart. Do you ever question why you even went to law school in the first place?
I mean, I don't think, I don't have the thought of I should have worked because I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It makes me really, I mean, I get to do my passion for a job and it's like a dream come true every day, which is like, every day I wake up and I'm like, what's going on? Like, because cooler and newer opportunities just come, and I'm just like, what? I can't even believe this is happening.
Well, you're really present too. I've noticed, like, you are one of the people. I mean, granted, we're getting to know each other through this experience, but you're one of the people that takes time to respond back to text. And I say that because you're present in what you're doing. I think a lot of people that have the ability to put their phone away, that have the ability to focus on their craft, are actually present in their craft. They're not I'll be the first person to say, like, there's times where I'm a victim of, let me go scroll social media so I could find external validation. Let me go text a bunch of people so I could get social validation. But when you really love what you do, you don't need to find social or external validation from anyone else other than what you're doing day to day.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing you say, because like, I remember graduating, taking the bar and all that, deciding that I wanted to do the music thing full time. And that was a really strange decision and decision process for me, because I think so much, and I think I'm sure a lot of law students and probably medical students and like any high achieving like student can what's the word? Relate to, yeah. Is this feeling of like, when I was in law school, it felt so good to tell people that I was in law school or to tell people that I was going to be a lawyer. I remember, like, you know, you like meeting my like girlfriend's parents, like, oh, I'm in law school. Like, they're like, wow, like
it's marry our daughter tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like this feeling of like, yeah, I'm in law school. Like, I'm going to be a lawyer. And you feel this like, because society's told everyone that that's like a really prestigious thing, right? Sure. And not that it isn't. Yeah. But it's just like, I think my family was all really proud of me, you know, like I was the first person in my immediate family to go to any kind of college. So the fact that I was like going to grad school was really, my dad was telling every single person he knew that, oh, my son's in law school. My son's going to be a lawyer, you know, like it's such a big thing. Of course. And when I had to like make the decision to actually not to do that, I had to also throw away all the external validation that came with it, right? And I had to just get validation from internally from what I'm doing. Yeah. And it was simultaneously like a really strange moment and also a really, I think, enlightening moment. Like almost like I gained consciousness for the first time. It's kind of weird to explain, but
no, I get it completely. It's almost like you're freeing of everything else that you put pressure on that you're supposed to attain because other people told you you're supposed to attain it.
Yeah, and the moment that I actually kind of realized, like, whoa, like all I have to do now is just do the thing that makes me happy.
Be you.
And that was like a crazy moment for me. And I was like, whoa, every day I just get to be myself and do what I like and what makes me happy, and I don't have to worry about making other people impressed or whatever it is. And it's such an important thing to have that connection with yourself and figure out because at the end of the day, after you go and do the prestigious stuff that society tells you to do, at the end of the day, it's your life, right? And you're going to have to like go to sleep every day with the decisions you've made and the life that you've chosen for yourself. And at the end of it, you're going to have to look back and say, what have I done?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what other people like how other people validate you at the end of the day. Like, it's your life.
It's crazy.
You have to be happy with it.
100%. And I think like law school was such an easy comparison to what that validation was when we were talking about it at coffee. It's like you work so hard and then you have all of your peers becoming successful. They're getting their job offers after the summer. They all get their summer associateship, and you're like looking at everybody like, where do I fall in all of this? And I remember I was really afraid of what I was going to tell people if I didn't work at a big corporate firm. And I mean, look, I worked at a great firm, great people, great culture, and it also like it fed the safety and the I guess the long-term, like I saw the long-term goal there. But I was like, I've never been one to play it safe. I've always been a risk taker. Even when I was going to law school, I was trying to like dive into all these different industries because I wanted to see what I truly loved. And I was so afraid to tell my classmates, my peers, if I didn't get a bigger firm opportunity, because then I would feel like I'd be judged. It's like one thing when you're the DJ in law school and then you come back out, you're like, yeah, I passed the bar, versus being the DJ in law school who like didn't take law school seriously, and the stigma of, oh, he didn't pass the bar, see, like he was DJing, he wasn't serious. Like at the end of the day, I know you didn't really work that hard towards the bar like you said, but there is a sense of, look, I worked hard through law school. I obviously like took first year very seriously to the point where I gave up what I love so I could one day be able to pass the bar, and you did. You first try too. And I think that it comes down to, you realize that all those the validation that you receive from your peers about passing the bar, or myself, like from my peers about getting a big corporate firm job, it fades. It's fleeting. And that happiness that you maybe receive for 24, 48 hours of people being like, oh, good, Julian got this job, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, the whole time he's been doing that podcast, and he was also writing a poetry book in law school. Remember that? And then he went to traveling like he actually took life seriously. Like he's a serious dude. Yeah. But once that feeling goes away and you no longer have your social circle that are going to keep validating you, there's this, I try to compare this value system of like, you have your social values and then you have your internal values. And it's almost like nurture versus nature. Nurture, the way your parents brought you up, the way you felt like, your peers, the way they looked at you, the way that you felt when they made comments about what you were doing. That's your kind of your social values. That kind of constructs the people you're around, constructs what your values become. But then you have your internal values, and that's really comes down to your nature. What is it inside of you, the human, your soul? What are your spirituality? Like, what is it about you that really wants to become successful, and how do you want to become successful? And it's so cool that you passed the bar. You had an opportunity to maybe even go back and like work at some of the firms or work in some of the nightlife that you were doing for like, entertainment law, but you decided to do this full force. And you were telling me at coffee that you made this decision, prior to even receiving bar results, that you're going to do music full time and then reevaluate in a year. What exactly happened?
Well, I made the decision before I took the bar. I think at that point I had just enough opportunities in front of me that I was like, okay, I think I can at least pay the bills for now, while I pilot this and see if I can actually make a career out of it. And so I had that decision made before I took the bar, and things just began going well. And I mean, things have gotten better and better ever since. And so I'm able to do this full time now. And ever since I've been able to do it full time, and it's been a blessing. So I'm just really happy that I did it. You
seem like a very like bubbly, gentle giant. I mean, like in the most positive way.
No,
like,
I appreciate it.
You seem like you have a good light energy to you. Like, and you seem very happy. Like, are you fulfilled? Are you fulfilled in what you're doing?
I feel extremely fulfilled. Yeah, it's like a really nice thing to be able to say that, because I didn't feel like that before. And I really feel like the world is my oyster. I know that sounds really cliche.
I got that from a book.
Sounds really cliche,
no,
but like it just like it feels like anything's possible. It feels like I'm doing what I love, and it's resonating with me. It's resonating with others. And I can I'm going to keep going and trust my gut and my heart every single day, and just keep going for it. And that's like it's such a nice feeling to have.
Do you feel like now that you're starting to grow, are you thinking a lot about the future, or are you more present about like just today, whatever I did today is what I'm proud of, and whatever I did tomorrow is going to be, I'll worry about it tomorrow? Like, are you very present in what you're doing, or like what advice would you give people that are looking to find this muse in their work?
Yeah, I try and be present. I mean, obviously I think about the future. I'd be lying if I said I don't think about the future.
Of course.
But I think the most important thing is to focus on what's in front of you. And I'm a very, very go with the flow kind of person, right? Like, I mean, like when I decided to do this, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, who knows? Like, I'm just going to try it out, see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
And I very much just like, I think life, when you try and plan it out, it almost never goes the way that you plan it, and it almost never goes the way that you expect it. And you hit all these twists and turns, and things occur, and all these things happen. And it's just about adjusting and dealing with what's in front of you and putting in your best effort into what's in front of you. So there's some saying that I heard forever ago, and I can't remember who said it, but it was something like, if you want to build the greatest brick wall, you don't think about building the greatest brick wall. You focus on laying this one brick as best as you can and do that for every single brick. And then by the end of it, you have the best, strongest wall. Right? So the point being is like, I try my best to focus on what's in front of me at the moment and pour my soul and my heart into like this event or this remix or this whatever I'm doing. And I have to, it's hard sometimes to you have to not be afraid to just like put it out there. Especially when it's like kind of stuff that no one's really heard or seen before. It's a little different. It's a little like not the norm. It's like, I don't know if people are going to like this, but I like it. So here you go. See what happens, and just like put it out. And I think, it's important to just try and be present and focus on what's in front of you.
It's interesting. You say like brick by brick. I had this exact conversation with a close friend of mine. I said, look, man, he's going through this transitional period in his life. He's trying to figure out what it is he wants to do. He's dabbled in a few different things, but he hasn't found like the it yet, or he hasn't found this. And I think we have this misnomer, especially in millennials. I mean, I can't imagine Gen Z coming into like the new world with TikTok and social media constantly feeding you with all these different things. But we have this misnomer that you have to be passionate with your work and what you do every single day. And there are people like us, I think, that have to have that. There are people that don't. But I think what you need to do, I tell my buddy all the time, like, just write down, rather than thinking through all these ideas and constantly like giving yourself all, like overwhelming yourself with anxiety and not sure if you're doing the right thing, just do it. Just sit down and do it. And if you're doing it every single day, sooner or later, the answers are just going to come in your practice. It's not just about finding. Some people just want to know the answer now. They want to know what is it that I'm supposed to be passionate about. Especially like kids coming out of college, kids even applying to college, not even sure what they want to apply as. Like, these kids feel like they need to have the answers. Life is. I have an existential crisis every 4 years. You know, like, life is going to keep changing as you change as a person. And I think you said it best. You're like, just brick by brick, like, see where it takes you. And once you build that castle, maybe you might tear down that castle. Yep. Maybe you realize, like, this isn't what I want to do, and you pivot. But being able to do that and being self-aware and emotionally intelligent to the point where you go back and ask yourself, am I building the right castle here, every few years is important. Or else you end up in a situation where 20 years down the line go by and you look up and you had your head down for so long, and you're like, what the hell happened? Life just passed me by and I didn't even ask myself the right questions. Am I truly fulfilled in what I'm doing today? And some people might find that in their external, like maybe having a family, having people that are loved and that they love that are around them. So I go back, and I was going to ask you this. I want to segue, but doing TikTok, because I mean, you said you've been DJing since college.
Since high school.
Since high school. So TikTok is this new era, and I'm asking for myself selfishly, because I've had to now, you know, I haven't really touched my TikTok too much for the Existential Bro because I hate it, but I have to now cut my hour existential conversation that I'm having with a guest into these like weird 1 minute, a minute and a half. Like, do you think that's, if anything, help you grown as a DJ? Has it changed the way you do your work? Has it, has TikTok having to like create music in such a smaller amount of, 30-second, 20-second clips to get people's attention change the way that you produce music?
I don't think it's changed the way that I produce music or the way that I DJ, because both of those things are not consumed in TikTok format. Like, when you come and see me DJ, you're there for a few hours. Like, it's not a 30-second clip. But that being said, I guess it just informs the type of content that I post, because obviously I know that I mean, just simply speaking, if I'm gonna post a video, it makes sense for the video to kind of get to the point really quickly. Like sometimes I'll see videos where it's just like it takes forever to get to the point, and I'm like, next. Right?
Yeah.
So, and I think most people feel that way. So, yeah, it kind of informs what sort of content I guess I post, but I don't think it really informs what I'm making or how I'm DJing.
What are you making right now? Like, what's the newest music that's coming out? Like, what are you changing the way that you've been working the past year, or have you just been kind of finding new art forms that fit your your music?
Yeah, I think I just I just follow my gut. I follow what's cool to me.
Yeah.
I follow what I think is cool. I've always trusted my taste. Like when it comes to DJing, even from when I was like 13, 14, just starting, like I never looked at like what's the top 10 Billboard songs right now. Never once. Like I just knew like this song's dope. Like this song's not. Like I'm in my own brain, right? And my taste has always led me to success in that regard. And so nowadays I'm just really, I mean, for the vast majority of my DJ career, I was really always like a rap and hip hop DJ.
Okay.
But recently in the past like 4 or 5 years, I've just like gravitated so much more toward world dance sounds, like Amapiano, which comes out of South Africa, Afro beats, which a lot comes out of Nigeria, but like a lot of West African countries, a lot of Brazilian baile funk is the name of, or is that what we call it in America, but it's just like Brazilian genre that's super fun, reggaeton that's like obviously Latin, all dembo, like all these, and then there's like you got Arabic, Indian, and then within Arabic and Indian you've got all sorts of different forms of music.
Sure.
So I think I'm just like fascinated by all these different genres and cultures. Being a Palestinian American myself, I've always just been like, you know, obviously like grew up with my culture and stuff. So, and I think for me, one of the coolest ways to learn about other cultures and to interact with people from other cultures and to connect with people is through music. And so I think I just try and follow my, like when I'll hear some cool like Indian Bhangra Punjabi song and I'm like, this shit's dope. Like I don't know what they're saying, but like it's dope. And I know a good song when I hear one. You know? It's the same way we all listen to Bad Bunny, right? Yeah. I don't know what Bad Bunny's saying half the time, but I know he's spitting. Like I know it's hard. Like
he's also really good looking, so it's easy to watch him. Like, all right, dude, this guy's fresh.
He's fresh. It's true. So yeah, I mean, it's just like I've always followed. I've also been a very much like production and music forward in my taste and what I gravitate toward. Like most of the time, like I found that people tend to be kind of one or the other, or maybe some people are both, but some people kind of fixate more on lyrics and some people fixate more on like the groove and the beat and the production. I'm definitely a groove and beat and production kind of person.
Even the way you're dancing, I remember just watching you. You're just like you're like hitting the, like as soon as the groove comes on and the beat drops, you're like boom with the full
like there's so many of my favorite songs that I've heard a million times that I don't even know the lyrics to, but I could tell you exactly like I know exactly what moment that snare hits and what moment the like bass comes in, because that's what my brain like locks into. But yeah, I mean, these days I'm just really focused on mixing and mashing all these different elements and genres together in ways that we haven't heard. Just because personally as a DJ, and no shade to any DJ who does do just kind of top 40 open format, not even lyric, but just like open format, standard club night type stuff. No shade to that, but I'm over it personally because I've just done it for a while, and I'm just like, I love Drake, but I don't necessarily want to play like the same Drake songs every Friday. You know what I mean? So
just be careful what you say about Drake, all right? Drake's my number one. He's my number one, all right? We're all
huge Drake fan. No shade.
Me too.
Camera's looking at me.
I was gonna say, Drake, if you're listening to this, Champagne
Drake,
Poppy, I got you.
If you're listening, no,
I'm on your billboards.
It's funny. Drake's probably been my number one Spotify artist for the past 5 years.
Oh, dude, since day one, bro. I've not changed Drake for a very long time.
So again, a huge fan.
And
but like sometimes like as a DJ, when you play the same type of songs every weekend, after a while you're like, all right, man, like I can only play these songs so many times, like, and it's less exciting after a while. And so I've just been, and again, this is DJ wise. Like when I'm trying to command a dance floor, it's different than what I just listen to in my free time. But DJ wise, I've just recently been so into all these different grooves and rhythms from different countries and different regions and just things I have never heard before.
Sure,
I'm just
sure.
like, what is this beat? Like,
Sure.
I've never heard, my body's never moved this way. You know what I mean? So that excites me, I think, from a dance floor
That's
perspective.
Cool. I like that.
you know?
So like advice for the kids that are in your shoes, you know, looking back at Abey back in high school when you were 13, 14 years old, starting up this whole DJ thing. What would you tell kids if they're trying to follow this passion? Like, was it something that you knew in high school? Like, I am going to be a DJ. Like, this is my life. Like, I know you told your parents, you know, I'm going to do law school, but in the back of your mind, you thought of being a DJ. Was it something that grew like, did your interest grow as you became older? Was this like a calling for you? Like, is there something that you can tell our listeners, if there are high school students that are sitting in the crowd per se, like, what is it that they're supposed to be looking for at that age? Or is it just kind of like live life, enjoy, smile, be with friends, and things will happen? Or do you need to find that passion now? Like, would you, if looking back at your life back then, would you say that where you are now, you needed to have that same kind of passion you had in high school to be here today?
It's an interesting question. I don't think there's a be-all, end-all answer for that kind of thing.
It's the law school. It depends.
It's very gray. It's very gray.
Yeah,
There's not a black or white. Yeah.
Like, do you think you're successful today sitting in front of me because you had this calling in high school, or do you think over time, just what you've learned about yourself, getting more in tune with who you were and what you stood for, do you think that's what kind of brought you here?
I think the latter. Yeah. Definitely. But because when I was in high school, I never actually thought I could do this for real. I had this dream in the back of my head, like, maybe one day.
Why not? Why'd you think you couldn't do it for real?
I just think it didn't seem realistic. I don't know why. I think maybe just the way I was raised, the environment I came up in.
Education seemed more realistic.
Yeah, I mean, go get a real job, right? It was like the whole thing. And I think to me, it kind of felt like, you know, just a pipe dream. I don't know. Just like, I always tell myself, like, in another life, like, in another life, like maybe. And I think I also, there's a part of me that, and I think a lot of immigrant kids feel this, right? When your parents have like worked so hard and slaved away to like get you the opportunities that you have now, you feel like, well, I can't squander these opportunities. I can't like take everything my parents have done and then just become like a burnout DJ. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's real.
Like,
it's real. That's real.
I need to like,
it's a real fear.
Take what they've done and build upon it exponentially, right? I need to like take it way further because where they started and where they ended up was such a crazy trajectory, right? Coming from wherever country they came from and working hard and moving to the U.S. Like, and this is like for any immigrant family, right? Yeah. And then I think growing up with, I think I was just highly aware of that growing up, highly aware of like how I got to where I am. And it's because of the people before me. And I was so worried about letting them down or squandering that opportunity that I was just like, well, I have to become like a bazillionaire, like highly educated, like, you know,
be on a billboard.
Yeah, like I have to just be the, you know, so.
Which you still will be on a billboard soon
Let's
enough.
hope so.
Soon enough, inshallah, right there.
Yeah, literally, inshallah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, what I would tell people, I guess, in high school is I think each of us is gifted with something that we're naturally inclined toward doing or interested in. And I would say work hard at whatever that is that you're passionate about and you're interested in, and then find, especially nowadays, like back 20 years ago, there weren't like that many jobs. I mean, there were, but like nowadays you can make a job out of anything. Yeah. Kind of, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, especially with technology, AI, like, social media, everything.
Yeah. You can be a professional, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, so I'm like, take whatever things you're naturally inclined toward doing and what you're good at and what you enjoy, build upon them, and then find out how you can use that skill set to add value somewhere. Yeah. And wherever you can use that skill set to add value somewhere, that's a career. That's a career path, right?
That's true.
And then you just kind of build upon that. And then, of course, at the same time, it's like you have to have this balance, right? I think you have to somewhat achieve the societal markers of like intelligence and capability, and because like you need doors to be open, right, for you to do whatever it is you want to do. And sometimes for doors to be open, you need to graduate from high school. Yeah, you need to go to college, right? Not always. I think nowadays it's way less the case that you need to necessarily go to get a college degree to do a lot of things, but for certain things you do need that like if you want to be a lawyer, you have to go to college, right? You have to go to law school. So I think it's just this balance. For me, I always told myself that I would do both. I would do the sort of academic route where I need to do what I have to do academically, societally, all these things. And I would do the DJ stuff, and I would keep doing both until I got to a point where I couldn't do both. And so that was kind of the way I tried to always do it. And there were a lot of sleepless nights. Not sleepless nights, but I just...
yeah, you're at the club.
Yeah, I don't mean it like I couldn't sleep. I mean like nights where I was literally at the club. Like I remember there were nights where, so my family runs a cafe in San Francisco, and I used to manage it. And there were nights where I would DJ until 4 or 5 in the morning, like 3, 4 in the morning, and then go open up the cafe at 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
And like I did that to myself.
Yeah,
like I didn't have to do that.
Of course.
Like because the DJing was for fun. I wasn't making a living off of it, but it was important to me. And so I think it's important to make time in life for the things that you care about and you're passionate about. I think a lot of people, just like we were talking about earlier, like a lot of people have this idea that once you become an adult, you have to just like be boring and do your job. And sorry, no time to do anything fun anymore.
I'm important now.
Yeah. Like I can't do anything that I like.
Now.
Like So, and I think it's important to have that balance and still do the things that you're passionate about and
I think
feed that.
I think you're right. I think it comes down to also realizing that you might not find that passion. Like you were very blessed in this fact that you in high school started building towards that. You worked hard towards something that you loved and then kept it going even through law school. Now, not everyone might find that, but I think some people become so paralyzed by not knowing what their muse is. They expect to have this like passion and this love for something, and then they become an adult and they're like, I'm not passionate about this. I'm not in love with this. Why am I so unhappy? And they kind of just stop thinking and change as a person, and they just kind of like do what society has told them to do, and they sit still and don't ask themselves the right questions, or they get so paralyzed that they don't do anything about it. And 20 years can easily go by very quickly, and that's where that whole idea of happiness versus fulfillment, it's like some people find happiness in all these other external things that they do aside from their work, and there's some people that find fulfillment in their job, but you don't need to always have both. I think they kind of are intertwined, but they play to each other. You can find those external, feelings of fulfillment through your love for whether it's writing a book or poetry or doing a podcast, DJing, finding what it is that you love to do outside of your work. But you can also use that to become your work, but you can't expect to have it right now. I think that's my biggest thing that I wanted to get across this episode, is like getting to talk with you today. I got to see that even you put it aside for a little bit of time because you thought that it wasn't right at that moment. And I don't think we always should expect to have that feeling of fulfillment. Like I went straight to the corporate world because I thought that was the right thing to do, because that's what society told me is the right thing to do. But you have to I think life is just a bag full of mistakes sometimes. You just got to keep pulling a mistake after mistake, or sometimes just a learning experience. Maybe it's not even a mistake, and that's what builds you.
I 100% agree. I mean, like, for example, I don't regret going to law school at all. Yeah. I mean, I know I spent time, money, and I'm not a lawyer now, right? Yeah. But I don't regret that decision. I don't regret going to college. Like, I think every decision and every step that I took along the way was in some way, shape, or form, whether or not I realize it, instrumental toward making me who I am now and giving me the skills I have now and putting me in the position I have now. Yeah, and it all works out, I think, as long as you have a healthy balance of doing the things that you got to do to like pay your bills, like push your career forward or whatever it is that you're doing, but at the same time making sure that you're fulfilled on the human side and having that balance. And I think that's just really important.
And I think you just have to do things, and I'll end it with this, is you have to do things that are going to build you. And as a person, as we're growing and we're maturing and we're starting to see what we love to do, I think it's also important to build that discipline. I mean, look, you were on time for our coffee at 10:30. I've never hung out with DJ on time in my life. I've never hung out with an artist. Every artist I know is like, yeah, man, coffee 10:30. It's like 11. I'm like, hey, where you at? Like, bro, late night last night. You were just traveling. You still made it on time. You checked in. You responded to emails like timely. You go through your contracts with like look. It's built you to be who you are today, and that's gonna build you as a DJ, and it's gonna push you further than most. And I think it's a blessing to be able to sit in front of you today and ask these questions to get to also learn about myself, because it's important to see people like you that have this passion, that don't look back. it's few and far between. And I think people need to realize like life is just about living, and it's not about finding the answers today or tomorrow. It's just about having the experiences that we get to call life.
Absolutely.
So anyways, that's the Existential Bro, man. Thank you so much, DJ Habibeats, for coming on, man. It's been so much fun, brother. I can't wait for his newest actually, I shouldn't say newest, but his next event.
Yeah.
We got DJ Habibeats playing at Habibi's house at Avalon May 12th on Friday. Please go check it out. I'm going to put a link in my bio. You can buy his tickets. There's still tickets left. They're selling out quick.
Yep.
So please be there. We have another episode coming out in a few weeks. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Existential Bro with Juju and my boy Abey. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you for having me, man.
All right, man.